So here are quadratic applications, and basically these are word problems. So when we're talking about word problems, we're mainly talking about maximum minimums. And if you see a parabola can either get a maximum when it's an unhappy parabola, so you can achieve a maximum, or you can also achieve a minimum when it's down here, when it's a happy parabola. It's a minimum. Okay, so one of the things to figure out the maximums and minimums, well, you always want to use the vertex formula because the vertex tells you if it's a max or a min. And remember, the vertex is negative b over 2a, and y is just plugging it back into the original function. So that's how you usually solve problems that look like this. So we're going to do two different examples. Here's the first one. You can pause the video and you can write this out if you want. So here we have a barber's profit P each week depends on his charge C per haircut. So basically what this means is that depending on what the barber charges will depend on how much money he gets. So it is modeled by this equation. So they actually gave us an equation. Someone try to figure out profit and with respect to the charging. Okay, because if you don't want to charge too much and you don't want to charge too little. So they came up with a function. So this is the function that's given to you. So this is some quadratic equation. And if you see, the first part is negative, right? So if it's negative, that means it's a sad parabola. So here the part A says, what price should he charge for maximum profit? Okay, so what we're looking here is what should this charge be? So what should C be? What is C in order for me to achieve maximum profit? Now we know we're going to have maximum profit because this parabola is going to be sad. And in order for me to find the maximum, we just need to find the vertex. So the vertex is going to be x equals negative b over 2a. Now notice we don't have an x. Instead, we have a c. So in this context, it will be c is equal to negative b over 2a. So now we just got to plug it in for b and a. Negative b in this case is 2400 divided by 2 times a is just negative 200. So you're going to have negative 2400 divided by negative 400. So when I go ahead and take 2400 and I divide it by 400, what I'm going to get is 6. Okay, so how much should the barber charge? Well, he should charge $6. Okay, barbers nowadays do not charge this. So but according to this equation, this is what he should charge, $6. Okay, now here the next thing is what is the maximum profit? Notice that my maximum profit, if C was the original X value, my profit now is my Y value. So what I'm going to do to achieve my maximum profit, I'm going to plug in the 6. So if 6 is the charge that he should do to maximize my profit, let me plug in 6. So I'm going to get negative 200 times 6 squared plus 2400 times 6 minus 4700. Okay, and what is this going to give me? Well, this you can all just put it in the calculator. So you're going to have negative 200 times 6 squared plus 2400 times 6 minus 4700. And what I ended up getting was 2500. So this is going to be my maximum profit. So when I charge $6, this is the profit that I'm going to take in. All right. So very straightforward, just basically finding the vertex. That's basically what you're doing, but now in a different context. So now you get to see where actually we use these formulas, because a lot of the times we say, well, where can I use these formulas? Well, here's one of them. All right, a really good example. So now let's do another problem. This is more of a physics type question. So here we have a rocket is launched from a cliff and its height is modeled by this equation. So they gave you another equation. Okay, h of t is equal to negative 16t squared plus 116t plus 101. So part A says, at what time does the rocket hit its maximum height? All right, so here, this is the height. T, I forgot to say, but t here is time. All right, so at what time does the rocket hit its maximum height? So what time? So we're looking for t, and we're looking for maximums. So in order for me to find the maximum, we're going to use t is equal to negative b over 2a again. So negative b in this case is 116 divided by 2 times a, which is negative 16. So now we're going to put this into our calculator. So this is going to be negative 116 divided by 2 times negative 16. And what I end up getting is about approximately 3.625 seconds. I think this is in seconds. So this is when it's going to reach, this is the time that it goes to its maximum height. So the rocket's going to go up, right? Oh, it's from a cliff. Sorry. From a cliff. The rocket's going to go up, right? Launched, and at this point, at 3.6 seconds is when it's going to reach this maximum height. All right. So now that we know the time at which it reaches this maximum height, what is the maximum height? So all we got to just do is just plug it in. So h of 3.625. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in the time. And what I'm going to get is negative 16, 3.625 squared, plus 116, 3.625, plus 101. So let me plug in all of these numbers in there. Negative 16, 3.625 squared, plus 116, 3.625, plus 101. And I ended up getting 311.25. I don't know quite what this is. It might be feet, I think. I don't know. Maybe feet. All right, so that's what we ended up getting. All right, so now that we have the maximum height, what we want to figure out is at what time does a rocket hit the ground? All right, well, you have a cliff. Here you are. And the rocket was hitting, just went up, reached its maximum height, and then it hit the ground. Now, we want to figure out what is the time when it hits the ground. Well, when it hits the ground, what is the height of this thing? Well, the height here is 0 because it's already on the ground. So all we're going to do is basically set this height equal to 0, and then just solve for time. So you're going to get 0 is equal to negative 16t squared plus 116t plus 101. Okay? So you're just setting it equal to 0, and you're trying to figure out when exactly does that time happen. All right, so what are the things that you can do? Let's just use quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I'm going to get negative 116 plus or minus square root 116 squared minus 4a, which is negative 16, times 101 divided by 2a, which is negative 16. Okay, so this is not going to be a really pretty answer, but luckily you have your calculator. So let's just I'm going to put everything from the square root in the calculator. Let's see what I get. 116 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 101. In the inside, I got 19920. And on the bottom one, I'm just going to get negative 32. Okay, so now I'm going to have two answers. Negative 116 plus square root 19920 divided by negative 32. And over here, I'm going to have negative 116 minus square root of 19920 divided by negative 32. So now let's see what these answers are. Okay, so I'm going to put them into my calculator. So I'm going to have negative 116 plus the square root of 19920 divided by negative 32. For the first one, I got negative 0.79 about. I'm just rounding. And then for the other one, I'm going to do everything the same, but I'm just going to change this to the middle sign to a minus. And what I got is 8.04. Okay. So based on this, which one do you think is the most reasonable answer? Well, obviously, this is more reasonable. This is not reasonable because you can't have negative time. So this one at 8.04 seconds is when it hits the ground. Okay, so always be very careful. Make sure that your times make sense. And yeah, this is basically it.